I'd like to call this meeting, the Arkansas State Highway Commission, to order. Let the record reflect that quorum is present for the purpose of conducting business and all commissioners are here. First, let me say hello to everyone and welcome you to the April 5th meeting of our commission meeting. I'm Alec Farmer, the commission chairman, and let me remind everybody that's speaking, because I'm one of the worst offenders, to make sure and turn on your microphone when you're speaking so everybody not only here but live streaming can hear what you're saying. And as we've been doing since COVID, I'd like to entertain a motion to continue using the electronic signatures for the signing of the minute orders.
So move.
Got a motion? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, we'll continue on with that practice. Okay, now I guess we're ready for the minutes. So, has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes
As written.
presented.
Thank you. Second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that passes. Now we'll move to the next agenda item, the reading of the minute orders. So again, remind everybody to use your green button on your microphone if you have something to say. And we'll turn it over to Dave Parker, Public Information Officer, to read the minutes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This first minute order simply approves the actions of the Purchasing Committee. Minute Order 2 authorizes the payment of the annual membership dues to take part in the AASHTO Design Publications Maintenance Technical Service Program for fiscal 23. AASHTO is the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. Minute Order 3, authorization to increase the payment of reasonable expenses necessary up to but not exceeding $50,000 to reestablish a displaced firm, a nonprofit organization, or small business at its new site. Minute Order 4. This minute order allows us to enter into new agreements with partnering entities and to proceed with project development and construction of partnering projects included in the STIP, the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program, as funds become available. Minute Order 5 allows us to request proposals, select a consulting legal firm or firms to enter into agreements to perform on-call services for the calendar years 2023 to 2025. Minute Order 6. This action allows us to solicit proposals from eligible applicants to fund eligible projects for the funding allocated to the Department for the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program, also known as NEVI. Minute Order 7 calls for the approval to proceed with the purchase of three-dimensional ground-penetrating radar equipment, which allows us to collect data on the roadways.
Dave, I had a clarifying question on that one for the staff. So that is the same, that's replacing existing technology that we have. So we have will you go over that a little bit? We have the ARAN vehicle and then we have the ground penetrating system. They're two different systems. Jared?
I would like Jared to answer that question. That's under his branch, so he can talk to that.
Hey, Jared, I just wanted to clarify that. So it's if you can break that down just a little bit.
Yes, that's correct. We have a ground penetrating radar van that's about 12 years old now.
Okay.
It's aging and it's needing quite a bit of maintenance. And it collects subsurface data on the pavement, so we don't have to go out there and do coring. We can drive it at a higher rate of speed and collect that data, and this would just replace that.
Okay.
The ARAN collects pavement condition data, rutting, cracking, and roughness, and it's a different machine altogether.
And the one with the ground penetrating radar, this is the same one we've had, but this is just a newer, better one because it will be 12 years
Yes,
younger technology.
that's correct. It collects a wider field, and it collects three-dimensional data. Ours now doesn't collect three-dimensional data.
That's great, great
Yep.
news, thank
Mhm.
you.
Jared, while you're there, now, do they have to stop the vehicle and perform this test? Or does it read it as you're going down the road?
It reads it as we drive. Yes, sir. I'm not sure what the rate of speed is, but we're driving, we collect that data.
Okay, so I just thought it was interesting that they noted in there that this is used by the state of Montana, and I thought, okay, is it new or?
It's not new. So it was one of our successful research projects that we implemented 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
But no, people have latched onto it nationwide. We use it to also do subsurface investigations for leaking storage tanks sometimes. We use it for a variety of applications.
And you can use it for bridges too.
You
Right.
can use it to detect rebar sometimes in the bridges, yes, where the rebar is.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jared, just for my own information, being new, there's two different scans here. We're talking about two different vehicles. And are those vehicles, is that what was mentioned, that they drive all of the roads every 2 years?
So the ARAN vehicle, the other vehicle that we're not replacing here, it does every 2
It
years.
does.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
the function of this one that we're talking about is,
We use it to collect data for pavement design, to troubleshoot things that may be going wrong out there. That's what we use that for.
okay, so it's on a call basis if you
Yes, sir.
suspect something.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Another thing to point out is we use our state planning and research funds to purchase this. It's
That's
an eligible purchase, using these funds that can only be applied to these types of functions in the department.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Returning to minute order 8, this minute order allows us to solicit proposals, select a firm, and proceed with the project to provide NDT, which is non-destructive testing of bridge decks, as we see needed. Minute order 9, found on page 59, comes from out of District 4, Crawford County. Simply calls for a certain tract of land to be changed to surplus status. Minute order 10, similar, same type, out of Saline County, calling for a tract of land to be classified as surplus. Minute order 11, in fact, the next two minute orders have to do with converting land from a capital asset to right-of-way. This first one is happening in District 9, Benton County. And minute order 12 calls for the same measure on a different tract of land in Benton County as well. Minute order 13 transfers portions of right-of-way for 3 jobs to the city of Bentonville. Minute order 14 out of District 9, Boone County, changing 2 tracts of land from capital asset to right-of-way. Minute order 15, Hempstead County. This minute order calls for the adoption of the Highway 278 bypass feasibility study update for use as a planning guide for future improvements to the Highway 278 corridor. This study looks at the feasibility of bypass around the historic Washington State Park. Minute order 16, Benton County, authorization to conduct a study looking at feasibility of making improvements to the Highway 59 corridor between Highway 412 and Siloam Springs and the Missouri state line, and the Highway 72 corridor between Highway 59 and Interstate 49 and Gravette.
Excuse me, Lori? Oh, are you busy?
Yes, sir. No, I'm trying to
Okay.
catch up. I had to.
Oh. That's okay. Would you remind me what I know we kind of revived that other study, and I can't recall right now. I know it came out. Do we have to approve that as a commission? And what is the status on that?
I think the status is we're going to have another public involvement meeting in the next month or two. I'm not sure
Okay.
the time. But once we do that, we'll be bringing that to the commission for adoption for that
Right.
western north-south connector. This is just for
Just the-
59.
yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
uh-huh.
Minute Order 17, this is out of District 6 in Prairie County, calls for the partnering with the City of Bisco. This is an improvement project. The purpose would be to upgrade the Interstate 40 White River Rest area. Their water and sewer systems have not been functioning properly. And finally, Minute Order 18, authorization to reject any or all proposals, to waive technicalities, and or to advertise for new proposals whenever deemed to be in the department's best interest. That is it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving along to the financial report. Patrick, do you mind presenting us the state highway report?
Good morning. We'll start off with our February budget versus actual, or year over year, February to February revenue report. 3.1 million down from last year on motor fuel, down 2.3 million on registration. For the normal state highway revenues, which include motor fuel, registration fee, permits, and other, we're down 1.4% or $4.1 million. Natural gas severance continues to be strong. Therefore, our total revenue is 5.4% or $16.9 million above last year. If you look at budgeted versus actual, kind of the same story. We're down in motor fuel, we're down in registrations. Overall, we're up 23.6 million or 7.7%, with the majority of that being the natural gas severance tax that continues to be strong. Moving to Act 416 actual revenue. The first 7 months or 8 months, over 8 months, we've got, it's flat, $400,000 over last year at this time, or 1%. I want to remind you the casino tax will be coming in at the end of the fiscal year, so that'll hit June 30. That's why we continue to have zeros for comparisons there. If we look at the budgeted versus actual, we're kind of in the same position, about 200,000 more than budgeted, or 1.5%. If you look at fuel consumption, and I want to back up to the question that was asked last month, I didn't do a good job of explaining it. This slide and the next slide, the purpose of this slide is to show February versus February, so it'll be 8 months of the year. The second slide is a rolling 12 months, so we get a picture of time on this first one that's only 8 months. The next one will be for 12 months. So for the first one that's covering the 8 months through February, gas consumption down 13 million gallons, diesel's flat. So overall, we're down 13.1 million gallons, or 0.9% overall consumption for the 8 months comparison. Now moving to the second slide is the 12-month comparison. It's the first column's March 21 through February 22. The second is March 22 through February 23. We're down 1.5% overall, or 33.8 million gallons. The next slide's for our sales tax receipts. In this slide, we're 20.5 million ahead through February. I do have the March numbers now, which was strong. It was 2.9 million above DFNA's projections for March, which puts us at 23.5% or 23.5 million above for the year over DFNA's projections. And then the last slide is the half-cent sales tax since inception. If we count the March receipts, we're 3.31% or 62.2 million above DFNA's projections since the inception of the program. And just as a reminder, this half-cent sales tax program will end in June of '23 when the bonds with this will be paid off, and then the Amendment 101 will take effect and go forward. So we'll have a little slight different presentation for the next fiscal year. So we'll be looking forward to presenting it. Is there any questions?
Patrick?
Yes, sir.
That severance tax, does that go in a different bucket, and is it used exclusively for the highways in that area where that production is going on?
We do have a Fayetteville Shell account that is for that, but it's grouped into our RRA Quad Zero, our main operating fund, to be used, so it's not just a bucket.
Can it be used for anything, or it can?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the 95% that we get.
Yeah.
There's a 5% that we get that goes into another fund that I allocate monthly to, I think it's 11 different counties that have active wells.
Right.
And so that money is specific to those counties,
To those
to
counties.
use for the roads and stuff to help in the drilling areas.
So this would be similar to, I guess we could do it with anything. That just happens to be fracking and the gas production. I mean, it could be steel in northeast Arkansas, or it could be logs in South Arkansas that maybe if it came to pass where there was undue problems with the road because of the loads and different things like that, that there could be a severance tax, I guess.
It would have to be legislative.
Oh, I understand.
But yes.
Yeah, I
mean,
was just curious about
It's one
that.
that's been in play a while, and but the main group of the funds is used for our general purposes and where we need it. And like I said, there is a piece parsed out for the counties.
Oh, or chickens like northwest Arkansas. I don't want to leave that out.
Yeah, you don't want to leave your home
If you got too many
area out.
birds on there, you might have to pay a fine or something. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you.
All right. Appreciate the update there. We'll turn the rest of the meeting over to Director Tudor.
Thank you. Jared Wiley's going to bring the Federal Highway and Transit issues portion of the agenda to you today.
All right, in keeping with that funding vein, let's switch over to our federal highway funding. We wanted to make you aware of an issue that's getting national attention. There's a $3.5 billion discrepancy between the Federal Highway Administration's and the USDOT's accounting systems. This discrepancy was discovered about 5 years ago, and it was brought to the attention of Congress back then, but a decision was made not to take action on it at that time because the way federal highway funding works, we spend out of one account, and so each year that account gets replenished. We can't use more than they put in each year, so it's not been an issue to this point. When the IIJA was passed in November of 2021, the decision was made to start drawing down this funding out of a different account. So that account's no longer being replenished, and this issue must be addressed now. So we know that the issue occurred prior to 2006, and Federal Highways and USDOT have put together a task order to analyze what went on in those years. So they're working on that now. So what does it mean for Arkansas? The federal highway system shows that there's $4.7 billion available. The USDOT system says there's $1.2 billion. So of the $4.7 billion, Arkansas has $67.5 million in that pot. It's about 1.4% of the overall total, which matches our typical funding allocation each year, so it adds up. We are working closely with Federal Highway Administration. They're issuing guidance on how to proceed during this critical time. At this point, they're making 5% of the funding available, so 5% of the $4.7 billion is being made available to states. This is done in an attempt to avoid any funds lapsing. So we don't want to see funds lapse. They're working with us to try to get those funds utilized. So it's a good thing they're doing that. It's about 3.3 million for Arkansas, and I'm pleased to report, based on the way we manage our funding, we aren't going to see any funds lapse this year. So we always try to spend, and we do spend every federal dollar we receive. Same thing this year. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, what does 67.5 million impact, what does that mean now?
So in that old, so if we look at these as two buckets of money, in that older bucket, we have $67.5 million that's Arkansas money in that pot, in that bucket.
That's, so if I understand what you've said, there's several billion dollars, $3 billion was it?
$3.5 billion difference in the two
$3.5
accounting
billion.
systems.
In other words, $3.5 billion shortfall, that we've been shorted, the country's been shorted.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And our part of that $3.5 billion is 67.5 million.
Our part of the $3.5 billion would be 50 million. The 67 is the total ledger that Federal Highways has on their books. So the difference would be 50 million. If this money was to, I say, evaporate at the end of this year, we would lose $50 million.
This may be getting into the weeds a little too much, and if it is, tell me, but how do they calculate our share of that?
So that formula's been set for over a decade now. And it
That's
was,
just part of the
yeah,
formula
yes, sir.
for all
Yes,
of
sir.
us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do we get our fair share?
We do. We sure do. Yeah,
Oh,
we
good.
get about 1.34% of the national amount, so
Then
we
I'll
feel
shut
like we
up.
do.
I'm
Yes, sir.
asking.
Yes, sir.
But I would say our staff does an amazing job of managing our share, and so we don't lose any of that funding. And then sometimes we actually get funding that's allocated for other states because they don't manage it as well as Arkansas, so we're able to see some of those fundings brought here to our state. So it's really a great compliment to our staff and the way they manage those dollars.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Jared, I just had a question,
Yes, sir.
and I feel like I know enough to be dangerous here right now, but if it goes all the way back to 2006, did we have programs, or did we have projects programmed that were not able to be funded at times? Or did we miss that money, or we didn't know that money was laying out there?
No, sir. That's a great question. So no, most of our funding that's in this 67.5 million is from the FAST Act. So that's our previous
Okay.
Highway Act. So
Right.
93% of that money is from the FAST Act.
Okay.
There is about $4 million that's older, but that comes about when a project underruns and we release funds. We put that back on a newer project after that. So, but no, we've managed our money and we keep it replenished for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jared, is there plan to keep sending out this money in small increments like that, or are they still working on a plan, or how's that?
Excellent question. So the next slide is going to talk about what's coming next. So our staff, we're coordinating with AASHTO, with the Federal Highway Administration. We're working on surveys. We're reporting monthly to this point as to how this is impacting us. So the task force that I mentioned earlier has been created. We think that we'll have a recommendation from that task force later this summer. So if we find that USDOT's system is correct, and so this error came about when they upgraded their accounting system back in 06. They're going to go back and look at every single transaction from 24 to 25, and then if Delphi, the USDOT's accounting system, is correct, then we expect them to recommend a write-down, but we don't know yet. We have to wait and see what their evaluation turns up. We expect to hear later this year, but we're going to keep an eye on the situation and report back as needed.
Thank you, Jared, for that report. And we'll keep y'all posted as that, works itself out. Now for the efficiency review recommendations. I just want to give you a little update of where we're at, strengthening knowledge management in anticipation of increased retirement. We're all worrying about, the future, succession planning. And we now have scheduled a monthly series of lunch and learn sessions with subject matter experts in order to share knowledge across the agency. So we're working at that knowledge transfer and trying to get the next generation ready to go when us old folks take off. Under portfolio planning, to implement a platform that tracks all stakeholder inquiries to resolution. So we've moved into internal production of on February 6th of what we're calling GovQA to track all the inquiries and requests for information or needs across the state. And we have captured since February 6th 2,000 entries of contacts with the public. So it's extensive how much we work daily with the public and address their questions and needs. And I think this is going to be a really good way of keeping up with it, standardizing it. I see great things in the future as far as maybe seeing what the normal questions are. So maybe we can put together a Q&A kind of thing on our website that addresses those questions that are asked most frequently and all of that kind of thing. So we're looking forward to seeing what comes out of that. And let's see, as far as people capabilities, ensuring staff can develop in their careers at the department, we have a total of 76 managers that have completed our leadership development program, and we have 15 additional staff members that will begin this training in the near future. So we're really upping our game when it comes to training and knowledge transfer and doing all we can to get the employees of the future ready to go. Now I'd like to ask Kevin Thornton to come up and give you an update on the General Assembly, 94th General Assembly.
Thank you, Director Tudor. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, as you can see from this slide, we are nearing the end of the 94th General Assembly. In fact, the original last day of the session was March 10th. However, the legislature voted to extend the session until April 7th, which is this Friday. Based on comments from the legislature, it currently appears that they will be able to complete their work by this date. However, they can extend the session again if they need to. So now let's take a look at where we are with our legislative package, as well as some other bills that we are interested in here at the department. HB 1193. This is the department's retirement bill. This has been signed by the governor and now is Act 105. HB 1332, which provides the department the opportunity to provide a housing stipend for our interns. This has been signed by the governor and is now Act 209. HB 1384 provides an addition of a tool allowance for our carpenter positions. This has also been signed by the governor and is now Act 265. And Senate Bill 211, which brings the department in alliance with other state agencies as far as concealed carry is concerned. This has been signed by the governor and is now Act 215. HB 1692, which amends our Construction Manager General Contractor, or CMGC, method of contract procurement. It has passed the House floor and will be considered in the Senate Transportation Committee this afternoon. There are other bills that we're interested here at the department, and they are HB 1140. This is the department's appropriation bill. It has passed the Joint Budget Committee, which happened yesterday, and should be considered on the House floor today. From there, it would go directly to the Senate for their consideration. And the last bill to mention is Senate Bill 481, which allows the use of automated speed enforcement devices. This passed a House committee yesterday and should be considered on the House floor today. If it passes the House today, it would then be sent to the governor for her signature for enactment. Director Tudor, that concludes my report.
Any questions or about our legislative package. It looks like we're nearing the end, and hopefully we're going to have a good report card. We'll get them all passed that we've been working on. Okay, next is our bid letting update. Jared Wiley, our Assistant Chief Engineer of Planning, will bring that to you as well.
All right, I'm pleased to report our March bid letting was another success for us. The bulk of the projects here in this letting were a continuation of our pavement preservation program. Over the last 4 lettings, we've awarded 51 pavement preservation projects totaling over $340 million, covering 500 miles of state highways. In March, we awarded 69 total projects for $205.9 million. 34 of these were highway projects, 3 county, and 32 city projects. We did receive bids on all of our projects from 35 unique contractors, and we got 131 bids submitted total, so good bid letting. These are the major projects that I'm going to go over with you today that were awarded in our March bid letting. Excuse me. The largest award from the March letting was a $22 million resurfacing project that will span nearly 40 miles on Highway 71 between Y City and the Sevier County line in western Arkansas. We expect this to be complete next summer, 2024. The next largest project awarded was a multi-district bridge preservation project that will perform hydro demolition on 20 bridges across the state. This work is expected to take about a year and a half to complete. Next on the list is a 12-mile or 13-mile, $12 million pavement preservation project on Highway 65 near McGee in southeast Arkansas. We advertised 4 different paving alternates on this to try to get the best value, and the mill and overlay option was chosen by our lowest bidder there. The letting also included a 12-mile repaving project on Highways 108 and 296 in Texarkana. We've had some struggles getting good bids on this one, so we were successful this letting, and we're going to see that project completed this year. Sir?
Did that bid that we accepted come within the engineer's estimate for the job?
I don't have that with me, but it was yes sir, it was good. It was a good bid, and
Okay.
we could make that award. Yes sir, it was
Okay,
a good bid.
thank you.
Yes sir. Moving back over to Highway 65, we have 11 miles that we're paving for $10 million. Just in the vicinity of the other project that we awarded, that'll also be completed later this year. Next on the list is another hydro demolition project. This one was large enough we bid it as a standalone project, and it's going to take care of the bridge deck on the bridge that comes over to the Arkansas River there, and we're doing this in partnership with Oklahoma. They're going to share the cost 50-50 with us. It should take about a year and a half to complete this work. The next project on the list is a resurfacing project on Interstate 40. It's about 1.5 miles long, $5 million project that will finish this year, resurfacing a much needed stretch of I-40 there. And the final project I'll mention is a pavement preservation project on Highway 49 between Marmaduke and Paragould. We're going to do some patching on this roadway and put an ultra-thin bonded wearing course out there, and take care of those needs for the foreseeable future. Looking ahead, we have a bid letting next week, next Wednesday. We have 66 projects advertised for that bid letting. 35 are highway projects, so we'll be back to report on those at the next commission meeting.
Couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Since I've got you here, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. One, Jared, did you, if you kind of analyze the bidding, are you seeing any relief in terms of inflation, increased costs, that kind of thing? How did these bids compare to the last few
Yes, sir.
lettings you've had?
Good question. So last year, this time we were seeing costs just escalate and escalate. Our last bid letting, we saw those costs come down, and these bids here stayed in that same range. So we're pleased to report we're seeing them come down. They're not down to pre-COVID levels, you know, but we are seeing some relief there, yes.
How far away from pre-COVID levels are we? If you were to estimate a percentage, what would you say costs have increased since then? You got any idea?
You know, it's variable depending on where you are in the state, but I would say generally we're probably 30% higher on
30%?
asphalt right now. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Then the last question, just brief, is for me. Explain to me just real quickly how hydro demolition works.
I may have to get Rex's help, but we have a contractor that comes out with an apparatus that they shoot water jets on that bridge deck that's having some structural issues on the top layer of the concrete, and it, you know, breaks the concrete up. We reclaim that water, and we come back with the latex modified concrete over that deck to try to preserve and keep the water out.
Wow, okay.
Yes.
All right. And do you resurface it?
Yes, that latex modified resurfaces it, and then we put some tines in it to help with the friction on that.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jared, you've been doing that for a while, haven't you?
The hydro demolition?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I guess because before I came on the commission, that was being done on overpasses or roads going over the interstate in Miller County. And, because I'd come across it and always be
Yes, sir.
wet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
That's
a great,
what that was.
Yes, sir. It's a great tool when you have a bridge that needs some deck work, but the rest of the bridge is in
Right,
pretty
the
good
rest of
shape.
it.
Yeah, we can, you know, add a lot of life to that bridge.
And it chips out a lot of concrete.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It does.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jared.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jared. Next, in our series of Around the Department, I've asked Rita Looney, our Chief Legal Counsel, to come up and give you a brief about what our legal division does here at the department, and at the end she's going to give you a recap of the 30 crossing lawsuits. And I'm going to give you the clicker. So So Rita Looney, Chief Legal Counsel.
There we go. Now I'm on. Chairman Farmer and the commissioners and director, it's my pleasure to be here this morning and present to you information about the Arkansas Department of Transportation Legal Division and all of what we do. The Legal Division advises the Commission, the Director, and others in the department divisions and districts on a variety of legal matters. Our staff attorneys secure title to lands needed for highway projects by filing condemnation suits in the circuit courts all over the state. Other primary responsibilities include defending claims against RDOT before the Claims Commission, responding to Freedom of Information Act requests, assisting RDOT right-of-way in beautification and relocation matters, and collecting damages incurred by RDOT on our roadways. The condemnation matters that are handled by RDOT staff attorneys are pursued as a result of the Arkansas Constitution, which provides in Article 2, Section 23, the power of eminent domain as an attribute of our state's sovereignty. The legislature has also delegated the authority and power of eminent domain pursuant to Section 2767301, and the State Highway Commission is specifically authorized to acquire real property for state highway purposes by condemnation and through that statute. The Legal Division represents the Commission in acquiring property in this way throughout all of the circuit courts in the state, and currently we have 228 open condemnation cases throughout the state. Craighead County is the one that leads currently. There's 23 open condemnation cases there. Garland County has 18, Jefferson 18, Pulaski County 19, and then the others throughout the state. The Arkansas State Claims Commission was created by the General Assembly as a mechanism by which citizens can sue the state of Arkansas. It's similar to civil litigation. And matters brought against RDOT are typically for property damage, personal injury, or contract disputes. And RDOT attorneys defend the agency throughout all phases of the litigation, investigating the underlying incident and conducting discovery, etc. The RDOT attorneys work very closely with RDOT personnel throughout the department and provide guidance and advice throughout the life of that case as it proceeds. If a claimant is awarded damages against RDOT in an amount that's more than $15,000, the award must then be approved by the General Assembly's Claims Review Subcommittee, and RDOT attorneys represent the agency there as well. We currently have pending 276 total open claims before the Arkansas Claims Commission. Most of those are property damage claims. They are in the form of what we call pothole claims. Not all of them, but mostly that's what the property damage relates to. Those are 246 of them. We also have 5 construction claims open, as well as 25 personal injury or wrongful death matters pending. Beautification is a section of the department's right-of-way division, and the legal division assists the beautification section with enforcement of the Arkansas Highway Beautification Act of 1967 and with the regulations for the control of outdoor advertising. These are related to screening requirements for junkyards and screening requirements for automobile graveyards, and then also for the placement of commercial outdoor advertising along our federal aid primary highways. RDOT is subject to losing up to 10% of its annual funding from FHWA if we do not seek enforcement efforts to comply with these laws. And the legal division assists the beautification division in making sure that we are indeed complying with those laws. We represent RDOT in administrative hearings for denial of billboard application permits and then any subsequent appeals to circuit court. The Freedom of Information Act is also an area that the FOIA team in the legal division handles all responses to public records requests that are submitted through the Freedom of Information Act. We log the FOIA requests and coordinate with the appropriate custodians throughout the department and collect those records in a timely manner and disclose them. The legal division also reviews the collected records to determine if any exemptions apply. And I would say that's probably the most intense portion of the legal division's input into complying with FOIA's, making sure we are properly disclosing what we should disclose and exempting or redacting that which we should not. The new GovQA system that was mentioned earlier in the meeting will give legal another tool for processing and tracking and responding to those requests. And I would just like to add, I've been here 11 years, and the department and the commission have never been sued for failure to comply with the FOIA Act. The next area that I would like to mention is really just kind of a general or a miscellaneous advice area. We in the legal division routinely receive contract review requests from the various RDOT divisions. The staff reviews the contracts submitted from the divisions and then researches the subject matter and any related legal requirements. We often involve or reach out to other state DOTs for comparison to any contracts or matters that those state DOTs may be looking into or contracts that they have. Staff consults also with FHWA, seeks their guidance regarding any federal regulations that might apply, and then provide comment back to that particular division or section and any corrections regarding the advice given to those divisions of the department. Additionally, as we are the recipient of Department of Transportation financial assistance, we are required to, the department, is required to certify eligibility of DBE firms, disadvantaged business enterprise firms, to participate in those DOT-assisted contracts. And the legal division has an attorney on each of those two committees. There are two committees in RDOT that are related to this responsibility. One committee is the DBE committee, which evaluates and certifies those DBE applicants. And then there is a DBE hearing committee, which reviews and either agrees with or disagrees with those recommendations from the DBE committee and holds hearings when requested. And as I said, an attorney from the legal division serves on both of those committees. The right-of-way division of RDOT is works very closely with the legal division in acquiring property and in regulating the encroachments, if you will, on our right-of-way. And in connection with right-of-way acquisition, the legal division drafts several types of transfer agreements. That can be a federal land transfer or transfer agreement between the department and a city or a county. There are also agreements called airspace agreements. And we also draft commission minute orders that are related to right-of-way situations. Also deeds for any sales that may be made by the department property managers. The legal division also prepares title opinions. Those title opinions are related to acquisitions that we are outright acquisitions, but also those that we're required to review the title, obviously, for all of those properties acquired by condemnation as well. The legal division works closely with right-of-way acquisition agents as well, and the abstractors and the closing agents in their responsibilities. There's many, it's just, I could not emphasize enough the interaction between those, that RDOT personnel division and the legal division. We also advise the right-of-way regarding any contract changes and any defects or concerns or suggestions that we might have for corrections to those contracts, or also revisions to the right-of-way manual and the Arkansas Code as may be needed. In my role as Chief Legal Counsel, I also am tasked with the responsibility of designating a staff attorney to act as the hearing officer in right-of-way appeals regarding relocation assistance. And I noted that in your minute orders today, there was an increase to the amount of relocation assistance to be provided to those property owners displaced, and that is something that the legal division counsels with right-of-way on.
Rita, one question on that point right there. Does that include, for instance, if you're taking acreage off of a dairy farm, does that, and is that construed as damaging the viability of that business, or is that just straight acreage right away and that's all?
That would relate to the damages to the business and to the compensation for if we acquired it outright or if it were condemned. Relocation assistance deals with displacement, if you will, of a business and trying to find a suitable location for that business and the amounts that are allowed to be reimbursed to that business as they move. It's a separate process than actually condemning and acquiring the property itself.
Well,
It's
that
two different
farmer thinks that his is a business too,
I'm s-
is what I'm saying.
I'm sorry?
That farmer thinks his is a business too.
Oh, absolutely, but they're two different programs deal with
Okay.
the business aspect and then the acquisition and compensating for damages. That's two different programs, but yes.
Oh, there's a program just for farmers.
No, there's a program for businesses, and the farmer would be a business. So I'm just saying the
Okay.
relocation assistance is handled in the right-of-way division in the relocation section, and then acquisition of the property is handled through the right-of-way acquisition agents and/or condemnation when it comes to legal. So we work together to hopefully to provide all the compensation and relocation assistance to make that property owner whole.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The legal division also has a team that I call the demands team, and they do something that most people are quite frankly not aware of. Damages to our infrastructure caused by negligent drivers occurs obviously more frequently than we would like, and the legal division compiles what we call damage packages to collect the repair estimates that are provided to us by the districts and police reports, and we thereafter make demands of the drivers or their insurance companies. And we also have a new program that we are able to collect fire damages to our state highways through that are caused by vehicle fires that damage the asphalt, and we serve as a liaison with a contractor, Exmark, who collects fire damages on RDOT's behalf. Through these programs, we combined, we collect upwards of $2 million a year to repair and replace damaged facilities throughout the state.
Rita, can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
What is the minimal amount that you go after? I mean, somebody hits a sign, that's one thing, and but I mean, do you have a minimal amount, a minimum that you estimate that we're not going to mess with it?
The districts may have a minimal that they don't, because they don't send it to us, but when it comes to us from the districts, we pursue it. So I think to answer your question, like if someone hits a sign, I'm not aware. It may be that the district maintenance engineer replaces a sign without going for the driver who caused that damage. But when the districts provide to the legal division damages that have been incurred in its district to their facilities, then we pursue collection.
Okay, so it's up to the district to bring those to you?
Yes. Yeah.
And how does the district know when there's damage?
The district engineers and the maintenance employees regularly drive their districts to determine damage to their facilities.
Okay, so if they happen to spot it, they'll, okay, all right, thank you.
Sure. The legal division receives and processes applications from motor carriers also seeking intrastate authority. Those could be general freight carriers, passenger, mobile home movers, household good movers, and they're required each year to appear for a hearing after public notice of their application. And each year these current authority holders must submit a renewal application and appropriate fees, and the legal division processes those. We also process the applications for physical disability waivers. That's in cooperate or with the assistance from highway police. The new applicants may be approved for by the legal division, and then they're submitted to the highway police for a skills performance evaluation. And when those results of the evaluation are presented to legal, if appropriate, a disability waiver is issued. The legislative review, we've already heard earlier today from Mr. Thornton on the specific bills and update, if you will, from this legislative session. But as far as what the legal division has done in connection with the legislative session, we utilize the Arkansas Digest and the General Assembly's website for tracking the legislation during the regular session. The Digest provides reports on bills and the amendments, and then using certain search criteria, legal division is able to keep a watchful eye on not only our package, but any legislation that might affect the department's mission. And then finally, the director asked that I give an update on 30 Crossing special litigation and the conclusion of each of those. And so some of this you may have heard before, but just to bring it all to a close and tell you, the Amendment 91 case, Bonanito versus Gibson, that's the case that challenged the use of 30 Crossing, funds on 30 Crossing and I-630, the use of Amendment 91 funds. And as you know, following the Supreme Court decision that ruled we could not use those funds on those two facilities, the trial court awarded the plaintiff's attorneys $18 million, and we, of course, appealed that award. And the Arkansas Supreme Court reversed that award in its entirety, finally ending that case with a decision that means that the taxpayer dollars will be spent as intended on building and maintaining those roads. The second case, the Little Rock Downtown Neighborhood Association case, was another 30 Crossing related case, if you will. It was brought by the same plaintiffs that I will mention in the third case, the federal NEPA case. And in that case, the trial court actually granted their motion for summary judgment. This was a challenge to our use of Amendment 101 funds. And the trial court below had agreed with the plaintiff's interpretation of Amendment 101 and basically said that it was an extension of Amendment 91 and therefore could not be used on 30 Crossing. And on appeal, fortunately, and the Supreme Court disagreed, reversed the trial court stating that, quote, the language in Amendment 101 is clear. It is intended to provide revenue for the state's system of highways, regardless of the number of lanes. So this case has been concluded. Likewise, means that the revenue will be used as the citizens of Arkansas intended. And just yesterday, this is not on the slide, but just yesterday, the final mandate in this case was filed, and it orders the appellees, that is the plaintiffs in the case, to pay the commission and RDOT costs for this appeal. So that was a nice small amount, but nice to know and nice to receive. And then lastly, the NEPA case. This was the case that challenged by the same plaintiffs, the Little Rock Downtown Neighborhood Association and other associations, challenged the approval of the environmental document. And this case likewise has been concluded in our favor. The district court, in federal district court, denied the plaintiff's motion for summary judgment and granted our motion for summary judgment, and then also denied the plaintiff's motion. They had actually filed a motion to require us to reevaluate or provide a supplemental environmental assessment, and the court likewise denied that. So that case has been ruled in our favor and was finally concluded favorably for us. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Not so fast. I just have a question. Well, yeah, I'm kind of interested in, because this is what I do, land stuff. Out of the acquisitions, how many of them do we end up filing percentage-wise eminent domain to acquire the property?
I don't know that percentage because how it works here at the department, the acquisition agent's through right-of-way, so perhaps when right-of-way gives its presentation to you around the department, but it is not, I would say, and this would just be a guess, that most of our acquisitions are able to be negotiated, but for reasons of unknown heirs or title concerns, sometimes we have to file condemnation just to clearly acquire the title. There may not be an actual conflict.
Yeah. So, do you get involved in those negotiations before eminent domain is filed?
If requested by those in right-of-way, if there's become a real legal concern, but otherwise the acquisition agents negotiate.
One more question. What percent of the cases do we win or lose? Eminent domain.
Well, we win all of them because when we file them, we acquire the property.
Well, what percentage do we have to pay more for the property?
We have to pay more most of the time now. Yes.
Philip,
part
do you
of
mind if I jump in here? I had some similar questions, and they may kind of dovetail in with
Oh,
what
yeah,
you're
sure.
asking. I was just wondering from a way of measuring the I don't want to say success, but measuring maybe where we're missing the mark on the appraisal process or something, as far as how many, in a physical year, how many properties are acquired, and kind of going across the board, how many are required to be eminent domain cases where you have to, there is some kind of conflict there, it's not agreed upon. Then how many are awarded additional funds above and beyond what we offered? And then there's another category that they're offered so many enough level of funds that attorney's fees kick in, reimbursement. I just wonder if we don't measure that, if we could start measuring just to see, you know, how this plays out. And that's kind of the point you were getting to.
Absolutely.
Is a measurement something quantitative that we could look at and say, well, maybe we need to tweak this, or maybe we need to address this a little differently.
Absolutely.
And
I would say that those that go to, that are not settled out of court, and whether there's a process such that if many times the cases are actually mediated either via a formal mediation or negotiation after it comes to the legal division, but when that happens, the amount of just compensation that's deposited, quite frankly, it will always increase because you're mediating that value. You've got another appraiser for the landowner versus the department or consultant appraiser, and usually when two appraisers are in a room, they don't agree. So there's that negotiation, if you will. But beyond, as far as what percentages, I couldn't give you. But yes, the further it goes, if it doesn't settle in mediation, if it doesn't settle after it comes, you know, to the legal division, then the costs can continue to escalate. And if it goes to court and the property owner is awarded by the jury in excess of 20% of that which we have deposited, then they receive attorney's fees.
And it may turn out that we're doing everything perfect, you know, but just to know that and to kind of put some numbers to it, just to kind of be able to measure it, I think would be helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, because it makes you scratch your head whenever you see one that we offer them $500,000 and they come back and say, I got another appraisal for $1 million.
Absolutely.
I mean, where's the disconnect
Absolutely.
here?
Yeah.
I mean, is it the appraiser or is what? I mean, what's going on there? I was just wondering.
Absolutely. I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent report, very thorough.
Very, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Lori.
Before, I think Marie had a question. Do you have
Oh,
a
I'm sorry.
question?
Oh, sorry. Well,
Go
I
ahead.
could have asked later. How many attorneys do you have in your department, and how do you divide that up? It's a staggering number of different types of legal expertise that you need.
Well, currently, these are the staff attorneys and myself and my deputy chief counsel. So in addition to the two of us, we currently have 6 staff attorneys, and we have a vacant position. I need for another one to be hired. And then also the legislative analyst or specialist, James Patrick, has moved from a different division. He was in the governmental relations division, and he's now in the legal division. So that's the staff members that I currently have that are handling all of what we're doing right now.
Let me add that you just passed a minute order to allow us to go out for proposals to get legal services on call to help supplement our in-house forces. So I think we do a whole lot with little, but we're going to expand that and use some consulting for future. And before, is that all? Is that all? Because I want to say Rita has turned in, she has decided to retire after 11 years of wonderful service to the department, and I just want to thank her for her service and what she's done for the department over the last 11 years. So thank you, Rita.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Again, that was a wonderful report, very thorough and very informative, so appreciate that. Appreciate Lori putting that on the agenda. Lori, is your mic on?
No, thank goodness. Because I was momentarily confused. But anyway, upcoming events, April 11th, I've been invited to come and speak to the Arkansas Trucking Association Board of Directors meeting. We have a bid letting April 12th, April 14th, Women in STEM conference. I'm going to give some opening remarks. So we did this last year. It was very well received. A lot of young ladies from the high school and junior high came in, and we just had a good time talking with them and telling them about engineering and what it's all about. April 20th, Arkansas Good Roads Board meeting. Chairman Farmer will be attending that. You're an ex officio member, but I also try to attend as well just to hear what's going on. April 27th through 29th is the NCEES, that's the Engineering Board Southern Zone meeting, which I plan to attend. I'm about to finish up my year as president of our Arkansas Board of Licensure PEs, Engineering and Surveying, so I'm going to attend that meeting. May 9th is just our regular PE board meeting. May 10th, we'll have an Ashers board meeting. Put that on your calendar if you'd like to attend. May 23rd through 25th, Transportation Research Committee, our annual conference. I'll give some opening remarks there. May 26th, the Mayflower Overpass ribbon cutting. That's going to be a big event. We've invited Congressman French Hill to come and say a few words. That's one of his very much interested in that project, so I hope y'all can attend that. June 6th, statewide rodeo finals. Love to have you at that. It's just great to watch the employees show off their skills. We get to feed them a nice lunch. Their families come in. It's a great morale builder, and we enjoy that time with our employees. June 14th through 17th, American Society for Civil Engineers Conference that I'm going to be on a panel. I've agreed to go and do that in Austin, Texas. And then finally, your next commission meeting on June 21st. So that's what's coming up. And with that, if there's no questions, I'm going to turn it over to Steve Frisbee. He's going to give you an update on our tornado disaster response.
Good
Good morning, Chairman Farmer, Commission, Director. Thank you for this moment to be able to share an update on our RDOT tornado response efforts since last Friday. First, RDOT Districts 1 and District 6 immediately mobilized after the tornadoes with heavy equipment, staff to clear the highways of storm debris, to aid emergency responders and utility companies to be able to access these impacted areas and restore that electrical service to our affected communities. Our Traffic Management Center, TMC, these operators, they were able to assist with emergency calls and utilize iDrive cameras to provide live images, current road conditions of impacted roadways, and hazards to the traveling public. And RDOT staff has been present in our State Emergency Operations Center throughout this event, coordinating with all state agencies and fulfilling requests for assistance. In District 1 in Wynn, our heavy equipment and chainsaw crews from our statewide maintenance division, along with several other districts, have assisted our District 1 staff working in the city of Wynn with debris removal operations, including working on city streets in the community. This will be ongoing for the next several days, helping out as we can. RDOT's also provided the Arkansas National Guard and law enforcement agencies with barricades, signs, message boards, portable traffic signals for use at checkpoints in the Wynn area. In District 6 in Little Rock, North Little Rock, Jacksonville, Cabot, where the tornado damage was, the good thing is our crews had mobilized ahead of the anticipated storm, improving our response time. Being a Friday, typically our maintenance crews work 4/10s Monday through Thursday, so they would be off. But a wise decision from our district engineer to call those staff in ahead of that, not knowing how bad the damage would be. They were right there on site. Again, that improved that response time. They were able to work throughout Friday afternoon and night, and get the roads cleared, except in a few locations where power lines were remaining. Debris clearing efforts from the right-of-way are ongoing throughout District 6 and District 1. Also, our strike team dump trucks, these are the trucks that we use during the winter statewide with snow plows, belly plows. We've got those, the plows off, and we've got those available and hauling debris, storm debris material in Wynn. Right now, hauling that to some temporary sites. We've also offered assistance to local municipalities with damaged traffic signals to assist with restoration of those signals, with temporary design of signal repairs and things as such. RDOT crews are also working to again remove storm debris from all of our highway rights of way in the coming weeks. We're here to assist other state agencies, cities, counties as needed to help take care of the situation. I just want to end with saying that I'm very thankful and proud once again of the teamwork and the public service that our highway police, that our maintenance crews, resident engineer crews have provided to our families, our friends, and our neighbors during this tragic time of need. From heading out into the storm as it was taking place, to working late into the night to restore safe mobility for our communities, and even the small things such as our crews with our UTVs out passing water to other emergency responders, checking on people, seeing if they're okay. All of these things, RDOT team was there in our state, serving Arkansas just like they do every day, and I'm just so proud to be a part of that and see the teamwork and the efforts that's made. I'd be happy to answer any questions with updates on how things are going.
Appreciate that.
I'll just have to echo, thank you. First of all, thank you, Steve, for a great update. I appreciate that. But I just have to echo how proud I am of our team, of our crews across the state. They just do a phenomenal job in any kind of situation like this. And they are first responders along with others. I mean, they're all working together, and we're doing all we can to do our part, and I appreciate them and what they've done. I will say 8 of our RDOT employees have had loss of home, and we're going to be trying to do all we can to help them get through this and recover. The recovery is going to be a while. It's going to take some time. There was a lot of damage across the state, especially in central Arkansas and Wynn, and we're going to be there and be a part of it till it's over. So thank y'all. Thank you, Steve, for that.
Thank you.
Okay. And then finally, we've received some awards. We're always glad to get these awards. I don't know if you've noticed our big trophy case out front, but we always display them proudly. I just got back from a CEO peer exchange, and AASHTO was there, and they were saying they didn't know if these awards really meant anything. They took a lot of time, but did they really mean anything? But they do mean something. We love getting these awards and recognizing good design, good pavement, all of the things that go into good projects. So this time, I would like to say the first award we got was the department's 12th Perpetual Pavement Award for performance. The award was received for a 4.5-mile section of Highway 9 in Stone County. Then we were recognized for our pavement design work on the Bella Vista Bypass, Interstate 49 in Benton County. And then we got an award for conversion. The award was received for a project that rubblized and overlaid a 6-mile stretch of concrete pavement on Interstate 530 in Jefferson County. So it's good to be recognized, and we'll proudly display these awards in our trophy case. We're just going to have to get another trophy case, Chairman.
Yes.
So with that, that concludes my report, and I'll send it back over to you.
Okay, well, thank you, Lori. Excellent agenda today. I wanted to also echo, we did have eight employees who lost their homes, and fortunately there was no serious injuries apparently, but please keep them and all the affected families across the state in your thoughts and prayers. And also, please pass along our appreciation on behalf of the commission to everybody who once again went above and beyond the call of duty in a time of need. It just makes me really proud to be a part of this organization. Whether it's inclement weather or stormy weather, we're always there, it seems like, minutes after the event happens. So please pass along appreciation and how proud we are of our group. And then just on a personal observation, I was out of state when the storms hit, and I was keeping up with everything on Weather Channel on TV. And time and again, when they went to video, there was not much video in other states, but I saw our RDOT emblem in the corner of that TV screen all day. And so that's been a fantastic investment, I think, not only for the service it provides, but for just the goodwill it builds with RDOT and the public. So thank you for that. And I'll go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you for those wonderful words of encouragement. We appreciate that.
And thanks. Vice Chairman, you have anything you'd like to?
No, sir. I'm good. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, second. Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.